NFT. Non-fungible tokens. They're everywhere. Everywhere you go, everyone is suddenly talking about NFTs. It was hard enough to learn about cryptocurrency and blockchain. But there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, and Dogecoin. NFTs have apparently taken over. 2021 was the year when NFTs boomed across the globe. With an eightfold gain, NFT trading volume rose by 704% between the second and third quarter of 2021. The number of NFT art sales surpassed 1.5 million in a single month in 2021. Everyone is trying to get a piece of the pie. Heck, there are teenagers. Yes, teenagers supposedly making side money, selling and reselling NFTs. Would you believe that the most valuable NFT is worth more than $91.8 million?
Our lives are being influenced by digital validation. People are often judged by the kind of likes they have on social media.
This can raise a lot of questions. The basics like, what is an NFT? What does minting mean? How are these harmful to the environment? Why don't people just screenshot NFTs? And why were there over 87,000 of these tokens sold in the last 24 hours? There's so much to break down in this brave new world. NFTs have become the current buzz in the sector of cryptoverse. NFT revenues reached $23 billion in 2021, up from $340 million in 2020. This demonstrates how quickly the market is developing. Even then, at the start of 2021, most people hadn't heard of the word non-fungible token, and few are still unaware of what it means.
NFTs are a virtual asset, so it completely depends on who is issuing the NFT and with what restrictions as to how long you can own it. Of course, being on the blockchain, ownership is considered permanent. So if you own an NFT and you have bought it off the marketplace, it will be permanently yours as long as you have access to the wallet and do not sell it.
That asset can be anything. It can be a piece of art, a song, even real estate, as we see on the metaverse, your online avatar. It can literally be anything. So the easiest way to understand an NFT is to think of it as a proof of ownership in the digital world.
A Bitcoin or a currency is fungible, which means one Bitcoin can be exchanged for exactly one Bitcoin and they both are of same value. But a non-fungible token is very unique. A duplicate cannot simply exist, and non-fungible means non-exchangeable.
Any particular data or asset that is virtual, if you go and record it onto the blockchain, it becomes an NFT. What that NFT then does is that it gets a unique serial number. So what you can do is you can go trace it, you can find out the original ownership and kind of keep that whole thing transparent. That allows us to actually have true ownership of assets today. Unlike, somebody flaunting a copy or somebody flaunting, something that they don't truly own.
A great way to get started would be to learn the starting point of how blockchain started, why it exists in first place, and where it is headed.
Blockchain helps keep your non-fungibles, non-fungible. But how does that work?
A blockchain is nothing but a global network of computers constantly in communication with each other in a very simplistic term.
Blockchain is kind of like a highway. It's basically somebody built a road for you that you can go from point A to point B. And over that road, you can do a lot of things. Mostly that road was being used for delivering money or the asset from like location A to location B. But now that we have highways, and they are very, very efficient, we realize that, other than just sending money over, we can also send art on the highways or things like that. It's kind of like a very basic way to understand it.
When internet internet first came in, the core idea was just to build the internet. Then we came into the second step where we started building apps and websites on this internet platform. Now coming into Web3, it talks about building everything on the blockchain. Now, of course, blockchain as a technology supports NFTs, and NFTs have ownership. So that kind of binds them all together. So it's not really one thing without the other. It is simply a combination of support that kind of allows the ecosystem to grow.
Primarily, NFTs are built on Ether, which is a cryptocurrency, and its own blockchain. And Ether is the most preferred currency medium for transacting in NFTs. For any NFT to exist, it needs to exist on the Ether network. And to transact into it, you need to own a certain piece of Ethereum currency. Hence, the correlation between NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrency.
We know what this tech is capable of, and we know that its value is rising like hotcakes with every click. Should you get involved?
So the future of NFTs, whether it is in India, whether it is abroad, is to actually find utility in these NFTs.
This could be extremely profound in the cases of identity verification, in cases of digital asset transfer, in cases of digital rights transfer, which is a very common and a widely debated issue in India.
I definitely see NFTs being more mainstream and being used across companies or in schools, in colleges as art form in the next 5 years.
Non-fungible tokens may not seem so alien after all, or they might be, if that's the kind of NFT you purchase. NFTs are unique assets, like a one-of-a-kind painting or your best friend's short film that only you have access to. Except there are a lot more valuable, and there's more to come from this tech. It is hard to believe that the first NFT was only minted in 2014, and these trades are rising up by 700+% over the course of 1 quarter. Much to the West's surprise, the top 5 countries with the biggest NFT adoption are in Asia. We're in the midst of a whole new era of the internet, where a big part of the assets you own are digital, like the music you listen to or your video games, and where things aren't controlled by a few, but are decentralized for and by everyone. NFTs are going to play a big role in this new internet, as is the metaverse. Environmentalists worry about the processing power required to create and store NFTs. The average NFT transaction produces around 48 kilograms of CO2. But there is hope for change. Experts believe that the carbon footprint of an NFT can be brought down to 2.11 kilograms of CO2.
The kind of energy emissions Bitcoin needs to be minted, that is no longer the case for what is happening now with layer 2 coins, with all the others.
As energy becomes more efficient, more carbon friendly, more planet friendly in the future, the carbon footprint of energy and by extension NFTs and the blockchain itself will come down.
So keep yourself educated, up to date about the new, and be sure to check out the next episode of Brave New World.